Thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop here on YouTube. I hope everyone's having a beautiful morning, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Today we are in my room, Scenery Change. Here are some of my books, and more books in that cabinet. It's actually full of books. I have a cabinet right here full of books as well. This one was really heavy. It actually fell down one time. Just imagine that thing falling down at 3 in the morning full of books. It was tragic, absolutely tragic. But in any case, today we're going to be talking about Bruja Born by Zoraida Córdova. It is the second novel in the Brooklyn Bruja series. And this time it follows Lula, Alex's sister. So I have to say I really did love this book. I liked how different it was from the first book, but also the core was, the same. Because Lula, after being stuck in Los Lagos and being threatened to be devoured by the Great Devourer, she's suffering a lot of PTSD. So that's really alienating her from, her boyfriend and her family, and to the point where it's just kind of, she has this wall. She's lost some of her faith, so she's lost. There's this hole inside of her that she needs to get back. And the whole story is, her trying to rekindle not just her faith in her culture and her religion, but also the faith in herself and her magic. And I thought that was really empowering because, a lot of people, when they suffer from PTSD, they don't really know how to recover or save themselves. And it's not just about saving yourself, it's about, I really don't know. I've never suffered from PTSD, so I'm just speculating, but I think it's finding those connections that were lost again. I think you have to do that in order to move on with your life. Never forget that it happened, but don't let it just overwhelm you for your entire life. And for Lula, that is, it's a really hard journey for her. And I have to say, it was a really good journey. Because I have to say this for Córdova. There's this one instance, it's a sentence in the previous novel, and it hints at what this book is going to be about. And I thought that was so cool that Córdova took this one tiny little detail and she just sort of ran with it. So it's kind of a horror novel. And Lula, she's in an accident with her boyfriend. It's a very tragic accident. Her boyfriend ends up in critical condition, and she uses magic. Not just any magic, a sort of blood canto. And, blood, even no matter what kind of fantasy you read, if it has to do with blood, it's dangerous. I've read and watched enough fantasy to know that if you're using blood magic, the repercussions for that are going to be disastrous. So she doesn't think that at all. She thinks, oh, it's going to be fine because, I'm a healer. I was born to be a healing witch, and it's not fine. It ends up very disastrous. Yes, her boyfriend heals, but he does end up dying. The problem is he doesn't stay dead. What do we call that? We call that a zombie. Yeah, Córdova goes zombies with this novel, and I thought it was so cool how she does it, because she ties it to the Latinx culture, and she ties it to the magic. And I think what's really strong about this novel and this series so far is magic comes with a price. I've been watching lots of Once Upon a Time lately with my husband. Magic comes with a price. There are repercussions for everything that they do, and you kind of get to see that just a little bit in the previous novel, but here in this novel, you really do see the repercussions of the magic use, which is, it's very dangerous to do, And the fact that she just sort of doesn't think there are going to be such disastrous repercussions, really goes towards her loss. She's not entirely sure what's going to be happening. And what does happen is La Muerta, the goddess of, I guess, death, she carries the souls of the departed to the afterlife. She ends up trapping her in our world. So what happens when people die? Where are they supposed to go? So you've got a lot of people stuck in between. They're not dead, but they're not alive either. They're casi muertos. That's what they call them in this novel. And they're basically zombies. And I thought that was really cool, how she structures the magic in a way to show that there is a cause and an effect. For a reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It has to go somewhere. With the healers, it can heal someone's sickness, but that sickness goes into them in some form. A bruise, a cut, they get ill themselves. So they have to be very careful with how they use their magic and their cantos. And Lula's not careful at all in this novel. She's really dangerous because she's lost her faith in her religion and in herself. And it's really sad when you lose faith to that degree. You should never ever lose faith in yourself. It's so hard to come back from that. And it takes her the whole novel to sort of come to terms with the fact that her boyfriend, he's not her boyfriend anymore. He is a monster, and you get to see that slow journey for him as well, of him turning into a monster. It doesn't happen like that. He doesn't understand what's going on, but he is turning into a monster, and it is Lula's fault. And so he does find her to blame. And that journey to see her boyfriend Max turn into a monster, it builds so much tension for the story. The deal with La Muerta, trying to get La Muerta spear so that they can move on everyone who has died and sort of restore the balance. More tension there. This story is nothing but layers and layers of tension, and it moves faster, I think, than the previous novel. It's more action-packed, and it just boom, 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 boom. It moves, and it keeps the story engaged. And it's not just another horror novel. It's a really good blend of horror and fantasy. And I really loved that Córdova was able to do that. This horror plus this fantasy. I thought it was very clever, and it shows a lot of strength in her writing, that she's able to blend these two genres together, but also layer the story with lots of tension, layer the story with a lot of magic, layer the story with a lot of character development, because Lula, she goes through so much, and she has to reconcile everything. She has to deal with the repercussions of the decisions she's made. So she's able to do that with this story. And I thought that was so well done, and I have to appreciate this novel for that. And what I think is really great is this is not the same Lula that was in the previous novel. That haughty tone, that know-it-all sister kind of tone. I thought that was really cool. But of course, when you're looking at the first novel, you're meeting Lula through her sister's perspective. So you're meeting Lula now. We're finally meeting Lula. We get to know who she was, but we're also learning who she is and who she's choosing to become through the actions of this novel. So there's so much sisterly love as well to balance out that character development. She understands she doesn't have to do this alone, and I think that's really good, that she's understanding she doesn't have to keep blaming, that she just has to accept what has happened and move on from it. to some degree. And I think it's very cool how the whole how the whole novel kind of moves forward. I think it would make a cool movie, by the way. Not that anyone's making movies right now with the coronavirus. But I really liked this novel. I really did. I have to give it 4 stars. Once again, I reserve my 5 stars for completely mind-blowing novels. But I do give it 4 stars. 4.5. Around that. Once again, I have to say, pick up a novelist book. Check your local library if money is really tight right now. If money isn't tight right now, check out Scribd. I know they have an audiobook version of it on Scribd. It's a $9.99 membership a month. I use it. That's how I was able to get my hands on this novel. And, please remember to support your local bookseller. I know everyone is always quick to go to Amazon, but really do support your local bookseller in this time. Amazon's getting enough business with doing everything else. So please remember to support your local bookseller. Order online from any bookseller, Barnes & Noble, IndieBub, Book Depository, Indigo, and Better World Books. Those are like my top 5. And, get an ebook, Google Play, Apple Books, Scribd membership. Just remember, please support the author, and please support your local bookseller. Once again, this was Bruja Born by Zoraida Córdova, the second book in the Brooklyn Bruja series that has a great blend of horror and fantasy. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and happy reading.